So the challenge for me today is to tell you why to invest in the shares of the Bucharest Stock Exchange. And I figured out that I have to write the prospectus of the Bucharest Stock Exchange because Bucharest Stock Exchange goes public, goes to the stock exchange. By the way, I truly regret that I wasn't here in 2010 when Adevărat BVB went public, but I was too busy with the global IPO of the Warsaw Stock Exchange exactly at that time. So the strong points from the very investment point of view that I will put in the prospectus of the Bucharest Stock Exchange if Bucharest Stock Exchange now goes public. And you know, when writing a prospectus, you have to be relatively precise and concrete. I mean, you may not use literature. It may not be belletristic because if it's only for this reason that lawyers working with you on writing the prospectus will tell you, no, we cannot say this, this, and this, or any of those, because if people buy the shares, buy your shares, and then it turns out that what you put in the prospectus was this a little bit belletristic, then we will have a major problem. So, strong points of the Bucharest Stock Exchange with this approach for things that are concrete, and in many cases they can even be measurable. Number one, this is a scalable business. It is relatively easy to get a big scale of this business based on the current technological and human setup. We can expand our operations into, for instance, derivatives market without massive investments. So this is the scalability of the business. By the way, if Daniela hears me, next year in spring, I want to change the location and I want to go to this Kupol something, because I want to have 1,500 people in the audience when we will be making investors education with regard to derivative instruments. And this will really be fun. So, scalability of the business. Second, the leverage that we offer to investors. Leverage because 70–80% of the cost are fixed cost. So this is closely connected to this first feature of the scalability of the business. Third, dividend policy, which is the following. We share our income with the shareholders. 95% goes to the pockets of our shareholders each year, and this is the dividend policy which has a semi-formal character because this is published, elaborated on and published according to the corporate governance rules of the stock exchange and of the market. Number 4, we are a leader in corporate governance in the Romanian capital market. And it may happen to you that you will read in newspapers something that could question this, what I've just said, that we are the leader in corporate governance. And I have the only comment for this: don't always believe in what you read in the newspapers. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5. And this is something really special. It's a unique situation in which we are when the Romanian economy, and more precisely the capital market, including the Bucharest Stock Exchange, are in the course of a journey changing the category in the perception and real investment decisions of the international and global investors. So we are in the course of a journey from being a frontier market, to the emerging market. And even something more special, which is in it, we have the infrastructure of the capital market at the level of the emerging market already. And it was even admitted by FTSE Russell in September last year. So this is the best situation for investors because we still offer to them rate of return on Romanian assets, which is typical for frontier markets, and the risk profile within the central infrastructure of the capital market, which is typical for emerging or even better than emerging markets. The best situation from the investment point of view. The next one, we have a proven business strategy for the company and for the whole market. The next one, we have a shareholding structure together with some technical instruments supporting the liquidity. So we have a large free float in relative terms, percentage of the market capitalization, and we have technical instruments supporting this liquidity. Just to give you an example, since January this year, there are two market makers active on BVB shares, IFB and Wood and Company, a well-renowned and known regional broker. The next one is a very reliable technology that we have. And you know, modern stock exchanges are composed of two most important elements, people and technology. So the technology that we handle, maybe it's not the fanciest and the sexiest technology in the world, but it is like Kalashnikov, you know, like the machine gun Kalashnikov. It never fails. And this is the more important. If you go to war, or if you run the stock market and the capital market every day, with exceptions of Saturdays and Sundays, as for the time being, you have to have a tool which will not fail, for even 10 minutes, because 10 minutes is like eternity on the stock market. And we can prove it by figures that the technology that we use, in-house produced technology, in that regard is, as I said, like this Kalashnikov. But it's a much more peaceful tool. And the last on my list, and it happens that this is the 10th strong point. So I already said 9 strong points as regards the Bucharest Stock Exchange as an investment case. I could speak to you for the next 3 or 5 hours about how it is positioned within the market, what it implies for us, and so on. But strictly being limited to investment case, Bucharest Stock Exchange, I already said 9 advantages, 9 strong points, and the 10th is, okay, I would say a good management. But more seriously, human capital. And this human capital, which we built over the last years, is also our strength. And it also be even measured by some indicators that are typically used to measure this human capital. So we have 10 strong points as a potential investor, as a potential investment for all categories of clients, for all categories of investors, retail, as you are, domestic institutions, and also even the most reputable global investors are already present within the shareholding structure of the Capital Stock Exchange. And I have to say that Lucian Angel inspired me this morning when he said that when it comes to returns, Romania beats Poland 6-0. So I asked also a question to myself, because I have 10 strong points that characterize Bucharest Stock Exchange. Would I say the same as of today about the Warsaw Stock Exchange? Do they have these points? And the answer is the following. They have all these 10 points, but one. I mean, they don't have 1 point because they have scalable business. They give the leverage to investors. They have stable dividend policy, which also makes of the shares of the Warsaw Stock Exchange the so-called dividend stock. They are the leader in the corporate governance in the local market. They have a business strategy which is going far beyond the company itself. They have great human resources. They have state-of-the-art technology taken from the New York Stock Exchange, and they have also the shareholding structure and the instruments supporting the liquidity. And I think that I didn't maybe say something like quality of investors' relations. Now I see it within my notes. Quality of investors' relations, this is what we also share. We have it both Bucharest and Warsaw. So, but Warsaw doesn't have one thing, doesn't have this very special situation which is between frontier and emerging with this potential significant upside, because Warsaw is in a, historically speaking, different situation. They are navigating from emerging to developed. They are on the watch lists as a market converting from emerging to develop. So they don't give this sort of upside and this size of upside that we give. Now let's think, what about the scalability of the business? Because I mentioned that I want to have the conference next year in the larger room, but Warsaw has a vibrant, important market for derivatives, and we do not have one. But I would say it is not something that changes the score, and the score I'd like to remind you is 10-9 for Bucharest as of now, because, you know, investors buy the future. So if investors think that we give to them reliability, and we have a business strategy, and we have a plan, and we have skills, and we have already a potential and the grounds to create derivatives, then it equalizes us. So we are still ahead of Warsaw with this 1 point. So we have 10-9. But Warsaw has something that we don't have. And this thing which Warsaw has is a much deeper ecosystem of the capital market. Ecosystem, which I used in my Romanian introduction. They have this ecosystem, brokers, investors, analysts, financial media, much more developed than we have, and the general level of financial literacy. So this is something which I have to acknowledge, and I have to say the score is 10-10. So this is remisa? Remisa. And this is a very good score, because if you go to Nou Camp to play with Barcelona and you receive 10 goals, but you also score 10 goals, you are someone. Thank you very much.